I laugh when I hear men saying, women will be sorry when we get older. They'll be running back to us. They'll be begging to be with us and we'll reject them. You won't. We'll be dating younger women and women will have less interest anyway. So where's the satisfaction and really what's the point? Think about it, seriously. With our respective experience over multiple decades, men and women, both of us, the ups and downs, the trying and failing, etc. We get past our mid-30s and both men and women care less and less. What happens is in our mid-30s, both men and women take a dive in our respective interest in building some lifelong commitment with each other. Because consider our past, what we've just come from. Men have come from decades of trying and failing, playing this game that never amounts to much at all. And women, by comparison, have had their fun, freedom. They've had a few boyfriends. They've ridden the carousel. They've been plugged left, right, and center. They might have even gotten a kid or two as single mothers now. And so whether you're a guy now and you've developed a life on your own, an independent life on your own, that's how you've come out of the oven baked. And a woman has come out of her 20s into her 30s, maybe with a kid, but now independent as well. So you both got your own space, your house, your lifestyle, your routines. Think about it. What's going to make both of you want to reverse the clock a couple of decades and give it one last try? You're comfortable with your life. You are. It takes a lot. What tends to happen is what we see now. Men and women temporarily reliving the good old days. There's a saying, they say men are online now pretending to want something serious and women are online now pretending to want something casual. We're avoidantly playing games with each other. That's about the only way we can safely be with each other and satisfy some primal urge. But what we're doing is really playing avoidant hot potato. Here, I don't want to hold you anymore. Off to somebody else. You keep giving each other back into the pool. A man gets older in his 30s, women are less addictive, the world becomes more interesting. Women in their 30s, they've had relationships, they've been on top for a while, and now the game's old and boring, they've probably got a kid, and so men are less interesting as well. The bar to want to actually commit to somebody and upturn your life now in midlife, where you've become comfortable, where you've got a base, is so high that it's virtually unachievable. What man or woman is going to be prepared to flip their whole life upside down after we've had that much experience, our past, our scars, our expectations now, our little idiosyncrasies in terms of what I'm used to, what I expect in my routines, how I live. It's hard enough to find someone you get along with who has the same values, but let alone someone fitting very narrowly now into what is subjectively your day-to-day experience and what you know you like. That's the other thing. We get older, we don't have to wonder and find out what we want. We really tend to know what we do and don't like. We're fairly comfortable with who we are and our routines. And if we can't find someone that's simpatico with that, it's kind of like, you know what, I like my life. I'd like to have someone else, but I don't need anybody else. Don't forget, when you get older, it's like you've been in a job too long. It's become stale. So, teens and 20s, you're in the same job of commitment, lifelong commitment, babies, kids, and all that kind of stuff, both men and women. And you get to your mid-30s, it's like, I've been at this job too long. Let me try another course in life. Let me try something else. This game's old. I don't like my job anymore. So it's a similar feeling to that, I'd say. If men want that physical intimacy when we get older, we'll just get someone younger. We'll pay for it. We know what women want. Most people don't like to admit it, but men can get sex fairly easily later in life if they just lay down enough money. That's it. And women can get it too. They become a MILF or a cougar, and they can relive their youth as well. The simple fact is, men and women, past our 30s, we've established lives apart from each other now. So imagine how hard it is for me to compromise an inch or a woman to compromise an inch. Who's going to win? Who's going to be the one that compromises the most to fit into the other person's life now that we both have a sense of who we are and what we want, and we're not willing to throw the stability of our life away, especially on someone that doesn't precisely fit some semblance of direction that we have in our lives and our routines and things like that. Here's the thing, relationships in our teens and 20s, because we knew ourselves less and less, we haven't developed a life yet. We hadn't discovered who we are, what we like, what we don't. We haven't really concretely found our ethics and values. Relationships with another, if you grew in your 20s together, it could feel like home in a sense that you could both grow together and that relationship could feel like home for the long term. If you've actually developed your home, figuratively speaking, on your own, as a single person, more or less, dating here and there, but your foundations and your trajectory has been as a solo person looking for companionship, you found yourself as a solo person. That's your pattern now. So gone is the potential of relationships feeling like home. Your home is the routine of your single life. You self-sufficient. Relationships now no longer feel like home in midlife and beyond. They feel like a vacation, if you want to take it. You have vacations with other people, and then you come back home to your life. You're no longer comfortable long-term with women because you haven't been living there for most of your life. That's the challenging thing. And there's no point, blaming men, blaming women. This is how we've been conditioned the older we get. You've got more of a chance. The longer you stay together, the younger you are when you get together. The older you get, if the pattern has been, I've been on my own, I've been self-sufficient, I've started to self-reflect as I've gotten older, the world has become more interesting, philosophy has become more interesting, my values and ethics have become more interesting, things need to matter. There needs to be a mature meaning by which I kind of course the next stages of my life. Because it's important, it's my life, and I know I've got less time going forward. I'm no longer young anymore. I don't have time to throw away. Basically, men and women past their 30s are tired of the old dating game. Just like playing sport is for the young, the mating dance is for the young too. Sure, I can have fun and enjoy the company of a woman, but it's not as primally authentic as when you're young. It's much more connected to nature because as we get older, men and women, we're essentially firing blanks. Even if we can give birth, we don't really want to have kids at our age. So we're pretending it's something that should be genuine and naturally authentic, like when you're in your late teens and 20s. We're playing make-believe when we're fucking as older people. We know it subconsciously, nature knows it. We're pretending and we feel it. And we're too old to pretend. And we know this. We feel it. I mean, how common is it to hear a woman looking at a guy trying to posture and be young and virile, and it's almost clownish? Or men are in front of a woman on a date and she's all made up and push-up bra and trying to look young again. It starts to look pathetic. Another very important aspect is we are trying to relate to each other like we were in our teens and 20s, where we operated from very different perspectives. If you're going to date when you're midlife and older, you need to date more honestly and maturely. You can't play the avoidant childish games you did in your youth and not say a lot and pretend you don't know things, because in fact you didn't, but now you do. That's where the game gets fairly insidious and vicious now, where people act as though they don't know. They pretend to be naive. They avoid themselves, they avoid saying what they should, they avoid being simply honest. You're older, you know where your base is in your life now, and so does a woman, especially if she's got a couple of kids. What's going to make her upturn her life and, roll the dice with you? What's going to make you upturn your life? I mean, what's going to make me upturn my life? No debts, tranquility, peace, good family and friends, a very, very stable and tranquil life. What's going to make me roll the dice on that for a woman with a few kids? What's going to make either of us roll the dice when we've come through failed relationships in our past and we've never been able to make it work? That sort of nervous insecurity we might have, just below the surface. There's a lot of things that come into play, a lot of challenges that we didn't have when we were young and naive. At this stage, when you're older, trying to date seriously, I'm not talking about flings and flipping people and jumping on Tinder and having a short-term thrill. I mean wanting some sort of consistency with a person you get along with for a long-term relationship. You get to know yourself and your routines, and you're so fixed. You need someone as fixed as you in terms of perspective, values and morals, and the ways of looking at the world. Opposites do not attract at all when you're older, because you know who you are. Even if you can't verbalize it, you feel it. You know what doesn't feel good anymore. You know what does, because you've had lived experience. You get older, stuck in your ways. Here's the question now. Who's going to change? I'm not. I'm not changing the stability of the life I've made up until this point. And that's what a woman thinks too. These are the challenges. We're older, our histories are not relatable. Our individual histories, they're very esoteric and specific. Aside from the men and women being different at their base, now you add on the very esoteric, specific aspects of me and her. Yeah, good luck. And on top of that, when it comes to us trying to pretend to be young in the mating and dating game, we're essentially old athletes with bad knees and bad eyesight trying to play a young person's sport. And what happens in that situation? What happens is one person's always expecting more from the other. They're expecting more from the other because they're too tired or injured to play. They're thinking, my knees hurt. Can you carry the ball? The challenge is to be more honest with yourself as you get older. It sounds corny and cliche, but you have to be with all your relationships, friends, family, your routines. If it's a job you hate, we need to speak openly. I keep saying, guys, you need to learn to think and speak your mind and speak better and say no and say yes and make them yours, because it's your life, man. You have got so little time ahead of you that you may as well be honest. And with that honesty, you get rejected for your honesty. At least you did that. The bad thing is, many of us stay silent, or we say yes when we mean no, or vice versa, and we're haunted by our cowardice. And we should have said no, and we should have said this, but now it's too late. Be honest, learn how to speak your mind. We need to relate more honestly with each other. Because as we get older, if you're playing by the same avoidant game playing Machiavellian tactics that you did when you were in your teens and 20s, it just won't cut it. Men and women care so much less because we like our lives. The only thing that'll work with any relationships, not just lovers, but any relationship in your life, is when you're honest with yourself and you communicate that honesty. You can't just reflex to blind old patterns anymore, gentlemen. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. What have you experienced in terms of this? I'd like to know what you guys think. Some of you have been leaving some really good comments in the comments section, so please, continue. Let's continue the discussion. And don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon, select all, share my videos on your social media. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Give me a thumbs down if you didn't. Comment below this video. And if you feel like saying thanks, you can donate via the links below. I'll talk to you very soon, guys. Bye.